Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shanyavari Pastuchade Satamane. No, it's okay, I'll just read my phone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Before I begin speaking, I'd like to ask, is there anybody here for the first time this evening? Attending one of our Hare Krishna festivals? There's a few of you. Okay. That's helpful for me to know. Welcome. And, I'm going to speak this evening from a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'll read first the Sanskrit translation, and then we'll speak a little bit about it within the context that it's given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Shuto nupatito dhyata adrito. Is there some water? Adrito vanumodita sadhya punati saddharmo deva vishvadruho pihi. Translation. Pure devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord is spiritually so potent that simply by hearing about such transcendental service, by chanting its glories in response, by meditating on it, by respectfully and faithfully accepting it, or by praising the devotional service of others, even persons who hate the demigods and all other living beings can immediately be purified. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented that the word Saddharma refers to Bhagavat Dharma. This is also confirmed by Shuddha Swami. Bhagavat Dharma is spiritually so powerful that even those who by worldly standards are implicated in various ways in sinful behavior can easily be purified by adopting any of the processes mentioned in this verse. In the practice of ordinary piety, one worships God with the expectation of receiving something in return for one's service. Similarly, the impersonalist aspires for his own liberation, wishfully thinking that he will become equal to God. In Bhagavat Dharma, however, there is no such impurity. Bhagavat Dharma is devotional service to the Lord, in which the only objective is the satisfaction of the Lord. If one rejects this process and instead wants to hear about, teach, or meditate upon another process, the chance for immediate purification is lost. Neither ordinary materialistic yoga processes meant for achieving mystic powers, nor impersonal processes based on speculation have the power to purify immediately those who have fallen into sinful behavior. Saddharma, or Bhagavat Dharma, pure devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is unique in that even the most fallen souls can immediately rise to the highest perfectional stage by surrendering at the lotus feet of Krishna or his pure devotee. This was vividly demonstrated in the preaching work of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially in the case of the sinful brothers Jagai and Madhai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gnanjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Bhangum Mangayati Girim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Gurundina Taranam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharadeni Vishesha Shanyavadi Pastachade Satarade Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauravaktarinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First, I would like to say that I'm very happy to be in Toronto. I have many fond memories from visiting this temple. And I know many of the devotees from years past when I used to visit regularly. Maybe some of you may not remember, but I used to come here, I think maybe 2-3 times a year, about 25 years ago. I lost track. But, and they did it for a number of years. But then somehow Krishna arranged for me in the early 90s to go to the former Soviet Union while it was still during the communist times. And when the communism fell, all of a sudden there was a need for many volunteers to go and to introduce Krishna consciousness to the throngs of people who actually became very, very, very eager to hear the message of Bhagavad Dhamma. And I was requested to stay there and to dedicate more of my energies there. And the result of that was that I had to compromise and couldn't continue to travel in North America as much as I used to. But things have definitely expanded in the former Soviet Union, and even where I spend a lot of my time in Ukraine, we have over 25 temples and approximately 15,000 to 20,000 devotees there. And we have festivals every year, usually attended by anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 devotees who come for a week-long festival. And that's just Ukraine. There's Russia, and there's, which is even much bigger than Ukraine. And you could say that I got distracted and couldn't come to Canada as much. But I have fond memories. I have fond memories here, and I'm always very happy to come and to be with all of you. And this verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's spoken by Narada Muni. And he is speaking to Vasudeva. And at that time, Narada was spending substantial time in Dwarka because Krishna was there. And therefore, he would go and regularly visit Vasudeva. And at one particular time, Vasudeva asked him specific questions, which as we said before, we were going to put this verse into context. If I can get my my reader to cooperate, it doesn't seem to be let's try it one other way. Okay. Narada Muni had visited Vasudeva, and Vasudeva welcomed him and very much appreciated Narada's presence, saying that he said that your visit is like that of a father to his children, for the benefit of all living beings. And he said that you especially help the most wretched among men, as well as those who advance in the path towards the Supreme Lord. And then he compares the difference between the benedictions, or the mercy, so-called mercy one gets from demigods, and then is compared to saintly persons. And he says the activities of demigods lead to both misery and happiness for living beings, but the activities of great saints like you, who've accepted the infallible Lord as their very soul, result only in the happiness of all beings. He differentiates that saintly persons are always merciful and very compassionate to the fallen souls, and their only interest is as to how to induce others to take to the path of devotional service. Whereas the distinction, of course, that's being made is that the demigods, they may give certain benedictions, but the benedictions they give are temporary and are not for the ultimate interest of the worshipper, and that's a whole topic in of itself. But this is what Vyasadeva is making the distinction in his appreciation between saintly persons who are situated on the platform of bhakti and who only want to give pure bhakti, and those who are engaged in worship of the demigod for some material return. Prahlad Maharaj said such persons are like persons who are engaged in the mercantile activities, that they give with the expectation of getting something in return. Whereas the characteristic of bhakti, or pure devotional service, is anyubalashita shunyam jnana kamanya avatam. There is no expectation of something returned. And that's very pleasing to the Lord. So therefore, this is why the verse that we spoke tonight is going to speak about pure devotional service. And we're going to specifically explain the importance of hearing about pure devotional service. But first, let's continue with the context of the question and the answer. He says that those who worship the demigods receive reciprocation from the demigods in a way just corresponding to the offering. The demigods are attendants of karma, like a person's shadow. But sadhus are actually merciful to the fallen. O Brahman, although I am satisfied simply by seeing you, I still wish to inquire about those duties which give pleasure to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Any mortal who faithfully hears about them is freed from all kinds of fear. And then he says that you are always true to your vow. Please instruct me so that by your mercy I may easily free myself from material existence, which is full of many dangers and keeps us constantly bound by fear. So his questions were specifically, please enlighten me so that I can become freed from fear. Because this material world is a very dangerous place. Param padam yadvi padam latesham. Srila Prabhupada used to quote that in this material world there's always dangers at every step. And of course, the most fearful condition of life is to forget that I'm an eternal servant of Krishna. I'm an eternal living being. And this is the basic cause of fear, and this is what Vasudeva was inquiring. I want to become free from fear. I want to be situated on a platform where I feel completely secure. Because, as Krishna says, Brahma Bhavana Loka Punavitamamajana, from the highest planet to the lowest planet, all the places of repeated birth and death, but one who attains the Maya Bodhi never has to take his birth again. So Vasudeva was asking, please instruct me in such a way that I can become free from fear and actually feel secure in my identity and in my eternality. Feel secure because everything in this world is temporary, and of course because everything in this world is temporary, anyone who looks for security in this world will be baffled in due course of time, because in due course of time the temporary nature of this world will baffle the living being who's looking for security. We can give so many examples, but we won't go into that in so much detail. But I wanted to put this into perspective, because the verse itself is describing the characteristics of pure devotional service, which states that pure devotional service is so transcendently potent that simply by hearing about it, simply by glorifying it in response, simply by meditating on it, simply by faithfully and accepting that it exists, faithfully and respectfully accepting that it's reality. And simply by praising the service of others, then even a person who hates all the demigods, even the person who hates all living beings, can be purified. Now, therefore, Narada Muni is getting right into the essence, into the question of Vasudeva, and he begins to narrate a discourse that he had heard previously between a king, Nimi, and one of the Prachetas. And, no, not one of the Prachetas, excuse me. I think it was, I forget who was speaking. But he was self-realized. And he was citing that conversation where a similar question was asked by King Nimi. He also wanted to know about how can I be secure, and can you please describe to me the characteristics of pure devotional service, and how can I become free from fear? And in that conversation, it was described that fear arises due to misidentification of the body, accepting it to be the self. That's how fear arises. And then because we misidentify with the material body, then we have to identify with everything that which is temporary, including the body. And therefore, and Srila Prabhupada also in one place, he explains that fear comes by uncertainty about the future. And in the next verse, he explains to King Nimi he gives a very nice analogy now, and I like to use this verse because it's very, very relevant. It's something that we can all relate to because it talks about dreams. And usually everybody knows what a dream is. So he says that although the duality of the material world does not ultimately exist, the conditioned soul considers it to be real under the influence of his conditioned intelligence. I'm quoting the verse actually verbatim. Somehow I have the memory for this verse, but I'll explain it. So if you don't catch the whole thing, I'll come back. So he says, although the duality of the material world does not ultimately exist, the conditioned soul experiences it is real due to his conditioned intelligence. This imaginary experience of a world which is separate from Krishna can be compared to the acts of dreaming and desiring. When a conditioned soul dreams of something very wonderful, or if he dreams of something very horrible, he creates a reality that has no existence beyond his imagination. Then he says the tendency of the mind is to accept and reject things on the basis of sense gratification. Therefore, the intelligent person must control the mind, restricting it from the tendency of seeing things separate from Krishna. And when the mind is so controlled, one will become free from fear. That's the verse. That was 2 verses. But now, let's analyze it. Let's analyze it, because he's speaking about, essentially, he's speaking about the benefit of Anyabalasha Tashunya Gyana Kamanyanavitam, to engage in devotional service, free from material desires, free from the knowledge which arises from monistic philosophy, and free from fruitive activities. Such first-class devotional service is rendered, the devotee who renders devotional service to Krishna favorably, as Krishna desires. That is pure devotional service. It's favorably, as Krishna desires, and it's free from all other agendas. One is not trying to satisfy himself, one is trying to satisfy the Supreme Lord. And such pure devotional service is very powerful. It actually attracts the attention of the Lord. But he says that tendency of the mind is to accept and reject things on the basis of sense gratification. And he says that
this fearful condition of life is due to seeing things separate from Krishna. So he uses the analogy of dreaming. Now, I'm sure many of you have the experience of dreams. And there are two kinds of dreams. There's good dreams and there's bad dreams. Any of you had a good dream before? Yes, some of you had good dreams. Some of you, I'm sure, may have bad dreams. But he uses this analogy to explain that when a person has a good dream, just like you have a dream, a very good dream, just like you may be dreaming that somebody that you've always wanted to be with and be close with, you're embracing them and you're feeling so good in that embrace, and you wake up and say, oh no, it's not real. It's only my pillow. So you feel really good in the dream, but when you wake up, you feel very sad. You're not very happy because you're thinking, it was only a dream. So you feel sad. So you compare that to the bad dream. When you have a very terrible dream, being eaten by a tiger, I often, when I use this verse, I always say to myself that because I fly a lot, sometimes I fall asleep with the plane and I dream that the plane is falling very fast. I don't know why. Maybe something. But it happens from time to time. But when I wake up, I say, oh. You feel good. The plane's not falling fast. It's just going along, steady pace, passengers look fine. Nobody's in anxiety, and you feel good. So, when you feel good from waking up from a bad dream, and when you feel bad from waking up of a good dream, then the sage is saying that both your happiness and distress has no connection with reality. It's only connected to a dream. But no reality there. It's just connected to a dream. So that's the night dream. Then he says there's the daydream. Use both. When the conditioned soul dreams of something wonderful, or he dreams of something very horrible. Or he daydreams of something he would like to have, or something he would like to avoid. We have daydreams too. Like daydreams, night dreams, they last for a little while, sometimes very brief. The daydreams can last quite a long time. And we may live off a daydream for, it may keep us going, that daydream, but yeah, I know if I only have it, and it keeps us motivated. We feel like, like the horse is drawn by the carrot in front of the nose. That daydream, like someday it will come and that will become my reality. My happiness. So we daydream of something we'd like to have, we get it, and then all of a sudden we find out that, geez, I didn't know these extra things come along with it. If I would have known that, I think I maybe would have taken second thought about my daydream. Right? My daydream wasn't the blissful reality that I thought it would provide me upon achieving my goal. So we daydream of something we'd like to have or something we'd like to avoid. This is also the converse side of good and bad. We dream of something we want and think, we want to avoid disease. We dream of avoiding old age. Of course, it doesn't work. I found that out very quickly. Seemed very quickly. I can't figure out where it all went. Last time I was here was 25 years ago, and now I'm 25 years old. I was coming here breaking things 25 years ago. Now 25 years. Now, old age comes very quickly. And Srila Prabhupada even told us when we were very young, he said, don't think this won't happen to you. So we dream of things we'd like to avoid, but the daydream of things we'd like to have or like to avoid also has no connection with reality. It's just a daydream. There's the night dream that has, we feel happy, and then we feel distress. When we get it, and I was so much wanted it, but now, I think of it. The first thing that comes to my mind is the story of Chitraketu Maharaj in the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was dreaming. He wanted to have a son. So, of course, we won't tell the whole story, but he got his benediction. He got a son whose name would be Harshashoka, which would be the cause of happiness and lamentation. So, his wife gave birth to a son, and many of his co-wives, queens, they became very envious because all the attention was going to the queen who bore the son, and they decided to poison the son. And what was the cause of great joy for King Chitraketu became a cause of great distress. Of course, Narada Muni arranged for the living entity to come back in the body of the son and to speak to King Chitraketu, to enlighten him and to enlighten everyone who was present about the eternality of the soul and about devotional service. Because when one becomes enlightened about the eternality of the soul and pure devotional service, the fearful condition of life goes away. So, the verse then describes that the duality of the material world is like this. It has no connection with reality. It's only connected to a dream. What is the reality? He says the tendency of the mind is to accept and reject things on the basis of sense gratification. An intelligent person, therefore, must control the mind by resisting it from the tendency of seeing things separate from Krishna. This is the tendency of the mind. We see things separate from Krishna, just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described by Krishna to Lord Brahma. He says, "Oh Brahma, whatever you see that has no reality," he says, "whatever you see that is separate from me, you should know it as my material energy, which is like a reflection which appears in the darkness." He says, if you see something separate from me, it's my illusory energy. And therefore, even the ability to see something separate from Krishna is coming from Krishna. It's my illusory energy. Mama Maya Durachya, Krishna says. Daviyesha Gunamai, Mama Maya Durachya. It's my illusory energy. So even the ability to see something separate from me is coming from me. But if you see that everything is coming from me, then you see the value. If you see, he says, if you see of anything value, but it has no connection with me, it's my illusory energy. So why do we think something's valuable? If we can't see its connection to Krishna, it's because we think, oh, it's valuable, because it's connected to me. He says, as soon as you see it of something valuable, but you don't see how it's connected to Krishna, it's my illusory energy. Therefore, the reality of this world is, and the transcendental reality, is that everything is Krishna, is connected to Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that all this material energy is connected to me. Aham savasya prabhava mattaksam pravajate iti matavajate vam buddha bhava samanvata. I am the source of the material. How long am I supposed to speak for? Huh? 7:30. I am the source of the material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly and engage in my devotional service, and they worship me with all their hearts. Of all that is material, all that is spiritual, you should know for certain, I am both its origin and its dissolution. Everything is connected to Krishna. But how to see it that way? When one learns how to see it that way, then one becomes freed from fear. Just as Prabhupada tells the analogy in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he gives the analogy of the cat who carries in her mouth a kitten. And when the cat carries the kitten in the mouth, kitten is thinking, oh, this is, you ever seen it? I've seen it before. When I was a little child, I remember I tell the story also. When I was a little child, we had a cat, and the cat had some kittens, a litter of kittens out on the back porch. And I just saw the kittens one morning, and I went out, and I wanted to see the kittens. And my sister warned me, no, don't do that. Mother's very protective when the kittens are just born. And so I went out and picked up the kittens, and I went back inside. A little bit later, I saw the mother cat picking up each kitten from behind with her teeth and carrying the kittens up into the rafters to get the kittens away from me. And you know, when you look at the kittens, you think, my God, like these kittens are. I remember, I said, what's happening? And I thought the mother was eating her kittens. But the kittens were completely pacified. The kittens were thinking, my mother's taking me home. Taking me, giving me shelter. So Prabhupada gives the analogy, when the cat picks up the kitten is thinking, this is my mother taking me home. He said, but when the cat opens her mouth and shows her teeth to the mouse, different perspective. Different perspective. The mouse doesn't think, oh, this is my mother coming to take me home. And that cat used to bring mice home too. But anyways, that's another part of the story. He says it's just like a person who's in Krishna consciousness. At the time of death, you think, oh, Krishna's coming to take me home. But if one forgets Krishna, Krishna says, Antakali chamameva smaranopakalevaram. Whoever remembers me at the time of giving up his body, he once attains my nature. This is no doubt. So many places in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna places the emphasis, Manmana Baba Bhakta Bhaktaji Namaskaru. Think of me, worship me, offer your homages unto me, surely you'll come to me. Emphasis is there that actually bhakti means remembering Krishna, seeing Krishna. And this verse that we quoted tonight describes the characteristics of pure devotional service are those who always remember the Lord. Pure devotional service is so transcendently potent that simply by hearing about it, simply by glorifying it in response, simply by meditating on it, because sometimes people would think, we tend to think that this pure devotional service is something that's only held by a unique clique. I read about that in Srimad Bhagavatam, but what's that got to do with me? It's like this Prahlad Maharaj, he was a pure devotee, he always remembered the Lord, and Lord Nrsingadev, he came, he appeared before him, he protected Prahlad Maharaj. But Prahlad Maharaj is a pure devotee, he's in Srimad Bhagavatam. Dhruva Maharaj, there's the story of Dhruva Maharaj. He had some desires in his heart. He came looking for a piece of broken glass, but he followed the instructions of Narada Muni. And by following instructions of Narada Muni, he went up to the forest. He meditated on a mantra that was given to him by Narada Muni, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He performed austerities. He saw the Lord, and he became purified. Bali Maharaj, he was born in a family of demons. He became purified. Great, pure devotees. Parikshit Maharaj, pure devotee. We hear the story. Taraskrata Ripalabda, Kshapta Kshipta Hita, Tashitat Patikurvanti Tat Bhakta Kava Yopihi. That in describing the characteristics of Parikshit Maharaj is that Shamik Rishi stated, he said that devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even if they're cheated, cursed, neglected, disturbed, insulted, or even killed, they're never inclined to avenge themselves. So that's the characteristics of a pure devotee. Imagine, insulted. Somebody says something to us a long way, and we immediately think, oh boy, say that one more time. Right? Insulted, neglected. Oh my God. Anyways, neglected, feeling neglected. Cursed. Parikshit Maharaj was cursed. Shringi, the son of Shamik Rishi, cursed him. And Shamik Rishi, he quoted this verse because he was thinking when he found out that Shringi cursed Parikshit Maharaj for some small incidental matter. When he found that out, he became so disturbed, he says, Parikshit Maharaj should come to curse him. It's the only way my son will be properly punished for what he has done for this great pure king. And then he thought, wait a minute, Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee. He'll never come to curse. Because this is the nature of a devotee. Devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even if they're cheated, cursed, neglected, disturbed, insulted, even killed, they won't seek revenge. Why? Because they see Krishna. They see Krishna's hand in everything. And because they see Krishna, they don't feel animosity, they don't feel envy towards other living beings. They don't feel fear. Because they're in Krishna consciousness. And therefore this verse states that even though we may not be in pure devotional service, the verse explains that if we want to become pure, if it's an aspiration we might aspire for, something very beneficial that we might like to have, then there's some benefit in hearing about it. Because simply by hearing about it, simply by glorifying it in response, simply by meditating on it, simply by faithfully and respectfully accepting that this pure devotional service exists, and the more I hear about it, the more I become convinced it exists. And simply by praising the service of others, we become purified. Even though I might not be pure, but I become pure by hearing about such transcendental topics. Even by praising the service of others. Just like, and the other day I was telling a story. I was telling a story about my godbrother, Sridhar Maharaj. And he was very dear to me. And one devotee was asking a question. He said, how is it that by having examples, it can give us, it can help us? Something, question was something to that nature, of that nature. And I was telling the story of Sridhar Maharaj. And Sridhar Maharaj, he found out he had cancer, liver cancer, and he was no longer qualified for a transplant, and he decided he wanted to go to Mayapur and to be with his godbrothers. And he wanted to be there for the installation of the Panchatattva. And previously, he and I would get together sometimes. He would ask me, he liked my kirtans, and he would come, will you come and have kirtan with me? And even when I was in Mumbai, I would just went and visited him once in Mumbai. I just pulled out a harmonium, we sat for the night and had kirtan together. And then when I visited Mumbai again, he was there at Bhaktivedanta Hospital. He asked me if I could come, but unfortunately at that trip, I said, I can't come. I said, but don't worry, next time we get together, we'll come, we'll have kirtan together. So when he came to Mayapur, I came up to Sridhar Maharaj and I embraced him. I said, Maharaj, I'm ready for you 24/7, as much as you want, let's have kirtan. So he used to have kirtan when he was getting to the stage where, because he came to Mayapur to leave his body. So devotees were coming into his room and he was having kirtan every night. He was just happy to be in the association of devotees hearing kirtan. And I used to go every night after the GBC meetings, and I'd take part in the kirtans. I wasn't always leading it. One night, after the meetings, I had a real bad headache. Really bad headache. And I was thinking, I don't think I can go to the kirtan tonight. And I wrote a little note and I gave it sent it one devotee, and I told him to give it to Sridhar Maharaj's servant, secretary. His name was Mayapur. And in the note I wrote, Sridhar Maharaj, please forgive me, I have a terrible headache tonight. I don't think I can come possibly to the kirtan, but I'll be there tomorrow. And I was walking back to my residence. And I was thinking, as I was walking back to the residence, I was thinking, my godbrother's lying in bed. And he's so sick. And all he wants to do is hear kirtan. And it's just, I have a headache. what am I doing here? Why am I there? I have just a little headache. And he's getting ready to leave his body. So I decided, I'm going to go back. So I went back to the room. And when I went to the room, all the devotees were sitting in the Kirtan, and the room was quite full. And Sridhar Maharaj looked up and saw me standing by the door. And he looked at me and he said, come here. And I said, Maharaj, I can't, this is too many to it. And the devotees just like parted, like really, let me come. And he patted on the bed, said, sit here. Sridhar Maharaj got up from lying down in bed. He turned to Mayapur and said, give me the tiger bomb. He took the tiger bomb, made me sit there, and he took it and he started rubbing it on my forehead. And for 20, 30 minutes, he was just massaging my head. And I praise this devotee. Because simply by praising the service of others, we become purified. We should be able to recognize and see others, their qualities, their devotional qualities, and become purified. Because that's one of the 5 processes. Hearing about devotional service, glorifying its response, meditating on it, faithfully and respectfully accepting that it exists, and praising the service of others. We become purified. This is the power of pure devotional service, and this is the benefit it gives anyone, no matter what condition of life one is in. Anyone can be benefited by coming in contact with the transcendental sound vibration, glorifying pure devotional service. That's the message of this verse. That's a little bit about what Narada Muni told Vasudeva. He said a lot more. But the more we hear about the topics of pure devotional service, which are the transcendental reality, then we can become free from the dualities of this material world. And actually, when we become free from the dualities of this material world, we can actually begin to see things in connection to Krishna and become peaceful, become fearless. That actually, I'm Krishna's eternal servant. And my purpose in life is to understand what is my relationship with Him and how can I serve Him. This is the essence of the verse, and I finished on that. Thank you very much.
So we want to thank Niranjan Swami for a wonderful class. Another round of applause for and we hope to see him here soon again. Thank you so much, Maharaj.